They told me that there was a warrant out for my arrest. I made sure I put my hands up on the dash and waited. I said, what for? And they said, we don't know, which is not good, right? That's not good.
Trudeau came out under oath and said you were being funded by Russians.
Yeah, those Russians, the problem with Russians is they promise you the moon and then they never pay you. I think got confused because that's his permanent state of being. Me and Tucker Carlson, Russian agents. The answer is simple for the Canadians who are listening. The colleges can do whatever they want. So if you're the member of a professional organization, you better bloody well remember that. And they're going to make certain that you do remember it. You're going to need the advice of a professional at some point in your life. And they are mandated to lie to you now. And so if that's the sort of service you want from your professionals, then just stay asleep. Adventure is divine comedy. And the pathway to divine comedy is the truth. And that's so... What do you do when you discover that? Who knew that miracles were comedic? The world's a weird place, man. That's for sure. And it's going to get stranger. So strap on, strap in.
Oh, yeah.
Not strap on. Strap in.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Dad, welcome to my podcast.
Thanks for the invitation.
And welcome to moving to America formally.
I guess that's what happened, isn't it?
It is.
Uh-oh. Is this the big announcement?
I mean, why not? Might as well let the people know.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
There are decided advantages to being here. I like where I'm living a lot. It's close to you. We have lots of work to do. But the issue with the College of Psychologists is very annoying, to say the least. And the new legislation that Liberals are attempting to push through, I'll be living in a totalitarian hellhole if that legislation passes, and it could well pass. The tax situation is out of hand. The government in Canada at federal level is incompetent beyond belief. And it's become uncomfortable for me in my neighborhood in Toronto.
Yeah.
So... And you're here.
And it's sunny all the time.
And we have things to do
here,
which we're doing, which are working. So that's how it is at the moment.
So you're thrilled to be here, is what you're saying, in other words.
Yeah. Well, there's sorrow in it too.
Nah.
No.
Nah. I feel like ever since I was little, it's like, why would I live somewhere where half the time it's dark and cold and wet?
Yes, well, it is very nice to be somewhere where every single day is sunny. That there's something to be said for that. Yeah.
Yes, agreed. Well, I do want to get into the college.
Yeah,
but
first, not too much.
Not too much, just to touch on it to update people.
Yeah,
what's
right.
going on.
I guess we need to update them.
We should.
Should we talk about the 24,000 complaints they got about their own behavior, and the 24 they got about mine? Or
yes.
We could mention that. Yeah,
we will definitely mention that.
Or the fact that they couldn't find anybody to re-educate me, and looks like they had to go out of the country to find someone who probably doesn't know anything about what's going on and is going to be the sacrificial lamb. Or about the fact that they changed all the rules that they themselves created to continue pursuing me and made it impossible for me to do it except in person. We'll talk about all that.
We'll talk about all that.
Why did I decide to build an online university? Well,
there is a crisis now in higher education.
The president of Harvard resigned today, weeks
after... Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct?
We have a problem of affordability and cost, spiraling student loans. We have a group emerging, and that warps the entire academic enterprise.
I experimented with putting my lectures online and found that I could teach far more people at very low cost than I could at the university. And I thought, well, why not scale that?
What I'm hoping to do is to find the best lecturers in the world and to bring them to as wide as possible an audience.
He came to me and he basically said, I want you to do the best course that you've always wanted to do.
We want to bring you the highest quality education possible at the lowest possible price.
It's extremely high-level content that anybody can use to educate themselves, and it's available to everybody.
Well, that would be good. I think it's funny. I got canceled at the university so I could try to return the favor.
We did our last podcast, which was about a year ago. I remembered you told me a story about being arrested in Montreal, and I don't think it's on the internet, and I think you should tell people about the ticket situation in Montreal.
I don't know
years
if I
and
should,
years
because
ago.
I'm probably still liable to be arrested there.
Now, come on.
Oh, well, when I lived in Montreal in 1985, I had a car for about a year that I brought from Western Canada, kind of a rattle-trap old thing. And it was impossible to park in Montreal. It's still impossible to park in Montreal. The parking rules in Montreal are insane. There's no way you can park in Montreal, period, but you certainly can't park and not get tickets. Anyways, I was out one day at like 6 in the morning moving my car from one side of the street to the other, because this is what you have to do in Montreal. And I was looking a lot for a parking spot, and I went through a red light, and someone clipped my rear end. It was my fault entirely. And apparently I got a ticket for that, which isn't surprising, but they never gave me the ticket then. Apparently they can mail you a ticket later. I moved a lot in Montreal, and I wasn't too concerned with forwarding addresses and that sort of thing at that time in my life. And years later, like 7 years later, it was the day I was going to hear from Harvard about whether or not I was going to get hired there. And I was driving along the road with my roommate at the time in another rattle-trap old car, which I had just got. It used to be my grandmother's. And all of a sudden there was a cop behind me in a car, and there was a cop in front of me in a car, and there was a cop beside me. And then I was being pulled over. And this was just around a time when some poor son of a bitch had got shot when he was pulled over for, I don't know, reaching beneath the seat too quickly or something. So anyways, I made sure I put my hands up on the dash and waited, and they told me that there was a warrant out for my arrest. And I said, what for? And they said, we don't know, which is not good, right? That's not good, because like maybe it's for a traffic ticket, which is what I eventually found out. I had no idea at that point. I had no idea that I had an outstanding traffic ticket. And anyways, they said they didn't know, and they escorted to the police station and said that I had an unpaid ticket and that I owed $350, which was a lot of money at this time. This was like in 1992, I believe. So it was literally 7 years later. And it turned out that my roommate there had all the rent money in cash. And so anyways, they weren't going to let me go unless I paid this, which was also weird in retrospect, because like, do you pay a ticket at the police station in cash? Maybe. Well, French law is different than English law. French civil law is different. But anyways, they took my shoelaces and all the other things I might use to hang myself with, and were going to put me in a cell. And I said that I had the money. And I went, I don't remember how they let me contact my roommate, who was still sitting in the car wondering what the hell was going on. And I paid it, and they let me out. And I thought they would just figure if I got a call from Harvard to let me know whether I got my job there, that I would be in jail. And I wasn't sure how that would be explained. Anyways, so that was annoying and comical and ridiculous and dangerous and surprising. And then like 4 years later, I had moved down to Boston because I did get my job at Harvard, which I was absolutely thrilled with, because Harvard at one point, instead of being a like woke DEI infested rat hole, was actually arguably the world's best university. And it was a very good place in the early 1990s. And I was driving back to Montreal to visit people in Montreal. And I made a left-hand turn where I shouldn't, because I was trying to get on a highway, which is also very difficult in downtown Montreal.
People have to understand, Montreal is not like the rest of Canada. Parking is impossible. They changed the laws, so you have to move your car at like 5 or 6 in the morning because it's suddenly illegal to park on that side of the street. Yeah. And driving is impossible, and nobody there drives properly. It's a crazy place to drive. Yeah, it's like the craziest place to drive in Canada.
And having said that, apart from the riots, and we can thank Trudeau for that, because Montreal, when I lived there, it was a wonderful city. I loved it in every possible way, except the winters were brutal. The food was great. It was peaceful and a joyous city, really. It was a party outside all the time in Montreal. I loved Montreal. It was a great city. And so it had these weird bureaucratic problems, but that certainly didn't detract from the fact that it's just a great place. And anyways, I made an illegal left-hand turn, and the cops pulled me over. And they said, "There's a warrant out for your arrest." And I thought, oh my God, now I'm really in trouble, because they basically have to take you in if there's a warrant. And I said, well, I have no idea what's going on here. Like, I don't live here. I've been gone for like 3 years. And they said, well, apparently you have a traffic ticket from like 1985 that wasn't paid. And I thought, yeah, it was paid. And I said, I paid it at the police station. And they said, do you have a receipt? And I thought, yeah, I have a receipt from everything I've bought in the last 30 years. My trunk is full of all the receipts that I always carry around everywhere, especially after I've moved out of the country. I said, well, no, I don't have the receipt, like seriously, And they said, well, we either have to arrest you or let you go. And they let me go, which was like, okay, well, thank you. I mean, that's excellent. I don't understand it, but great. I think I had you with me in the car,
always coming in handy.
Yeah, I know, baby. And I think Tammy was with me. And so, we looked vaguely respectable. And it was obvious that, well, even where I turned left illegally, everyone turned left illegally there, because it was the only way you could get on the highway without taking some idiot circuitous route. So anyways, then I thought, well, what the hell am I going to do about this? Because I paid the ticket. So I phoned the police station. I said, there's a warrant out for my arrest. What should I do? And I said, should I come in and straighten this out? They said, no, if you come in, we have to arrest you. And I thought, well, that doesn't sound like a very good deal. So they didn't say, come in right now so we can arrest you. Yeah. They said, if you come in, we have to arrest you. And it was sort of like nudge, nudge, wink, wink, hint, hint, don't come in. So I didn't. And so probably there's still a warrant out for my arrest in Montreal. It's like, that would be like literally, is that 20 years ago? 25 years ago. I don't know, I probably owe $187,000 in accumulated fines now. And like, I'm facing a prison sentence of 15 years. And if that happens, then it's your fault, Mikhaila, for making this story public.